call perspective, we don't go through and do a roll call, but in order to log your attendance, as Daryl has already pointed out, we do need you to sign in. And so it's right there on the screen in the middle in blue. You can click that link, and he did put the link to that document in the chat as well. So please make sure you sign in so we can record your attendance. All right, the next item on our agenda is the project update, and I'm not sure if Cindy was able to get on, but do we have Cindy on today to give us the update? All right, I'm not hearing her or seeing her. Wes, do you have an idea of who's going to be giving us our updates on the project today? Oh, you're muted, Wes.
No. Sorry, Kimberly. Can you hear me now?
I can.
Okay. No, I am her. I know that we hooked up Pueblo about a week ago, and before that we did Rio Blanco, Rangeley. Those are the last two to go over. Denver was not quite ready to hook up there. And I'm not quite sure what the next step is there. They've got to redo their telephone room over there at Denver CSP. Buckley is where we couldn't quite cut that over because they have to do some testing on that side on the Buckley connection piece. I'm trusting that that's not going to take too much to break through on that one. It's a very minor thing that has to be tweaked. So I don't know if Cindy has an update on that. But and then the last one to cut over then would be Cheyenne Mountain, and I think we're still wrestling with some of their space requirements there at Cheyenne. I know that's kind of a truncated version.
Yeah, and I don't have an issue tracking spreadsheet or a spreadsheet. She didn't send anything over for a status on any of the open items. So did you say you were going to message her?
I am. I don't know if I can message and talk at the same time though, Kimberly.
I know that's a challenge for you, Wes. So if you need to, you need to mute us again.
If you can, yeah, I will do that. And let me just get on the IM here and get her going.
Do we have anybody on the call today that is pending an installation or is part of the update that Wes just gave that you would like to bring forward any issues or concerns?
I did have a question. So this is Kevin Brown from DISA, and we're working with the Air Force and just kind of keeping tabs on where these installations or implementations are going. So do you have an update on Schriever Air Force Base by chance, Wes?
No, I do not. I know that Nancy is been communicating with Schreiber, and I know that the gentleman there that she's been working with, I believe had some, I'm not sure if that's you, whoever that is, had some medical things that were scooting some of the calendar needs out.
Okay, that's all. Probably somebody else, but I will check with her offline and just get a status there and see if there's something we need to do to help or not. So
I apologize. Nancy should also be on this call.
No, not a problem. I'll check with her. Thank you.
You bet.
All right, anyone else that is pending a cut, a migration, or part of that brief update have any questions or concerns for Lumen? Okay. And so we can always circle back to once we get Cindy on the call. So from an issues tracking spreadsheet, since we don't have an updated version, I'm going to go ahead and just pin that discussion right now so we can circle back to that as well. Hopefully we'll get an updated spreadsheet to display for everybody. But I would like to go ahead and move on to item C then. So if anybody has a new item, a new issue on the ESInet that they wanted to bring forward that they haven't previously discussed or reported, the floor is yours to go ahead and bring that forward. Okay, I would like to go ahead and just make note that we did receive some emails that there are some 911 call routing issues that are being worked in Adams County. So I don't know if we have anybody on from AdCom that would like to bring that forward, or if that's been narrowed down to exactly knowing what that is, if it's a PBX issue, a CPE issue, or something in the 911 network. Okay, we'll have to circle back on that one as well. So again, I didn't know the full scope of where exactly the 911 misroute transfers were occurring, but we had a problem early on in the migration with something similar, so could be worthy for discussion in the large group so we can all have eyes on that. All right, old business. We'll move on to item 4, which is old business. And so, Wes, I think you're done messaging now. So if you're able to come off mute and give us an update on the text to 911 and ECATs, that would be great.
Yeah, and I apologize for not having the other folks on for those updates. I have kind of blasted some emails to them. Cindy now also works in the California conversion, and she is on the California ESInet call as we speak. So
well, they're not more
we should have
important
made provisions for that.
Yeah, they're not more important than we are, so she needs to
I
get
just
back
told her
over
that.
there. Oh yeah.
I said the same thing. Anyway, back to actually the 3 things that we're really working on in partnership with Intrado for the ESInet is to look at not only the ECATs and the texting, but also some basic application of possibly using the GIS and some uploading level of foundational uploading of GIS for transitional data management. But specifically to what you have here, in the text to 911, anyone that has an IP system that we have cut over, that will be very easy to load that back in and be the conduit to enable that to happen on any IP-based system. Now out there are about, I think, 22, 23 CAMA versions, and there will be a small adjustment. We will allow that to happen, but it would be up to the individual PSAPs then to get with Intrado to convert those. There's going to be a small cost for that we're working out with Intrado. And it's not very much. I believe it's going to be something in the neighborhood of around $2,000 if they want integrated text messaging, if they're on CAMA. Now that can happen later on too. If the reason that some of these folks went with CAMA is that they were kind of on the last end of what their current systems were, and it didn't make any sense maybe to convert that system to IP. So they can convert downstream should they be changing their system out a year, 2 years, 3 years from now, and then still go back to Intrado to have that integrated texting on their new system. And so I don't know if that answers your question, Kimberly, or do you have anything?
I do. That? So do you have a time frame for when this text to 911 will be ready? And so again, just to baseline for everybody, this is not implementing on your side of the demarcation. This is basically just text, having an option for text to travel across the ESInet to your demarcation. So I just want to be really clear, this is not Lumen solving the issue if you do not have a text deployment at your PSAP. So Wes, do you have a time frame of when you think that this is going to be available? Are we looking in months, sometime next year?
Well, practically speaking, we were shooting for the end of this year, but given how things are progressing through in a very measured way, should I say, between both companies, I would anticipate it would be the very first part of next year. And I don't see any roadblocks to this. It just there's things to consider that Intrado has to work through, and our product management and our legal have to approve it, and then we have to, of course, submit it to as an addendum to the existing tariff. So.
And Wes, before Lumen had indicated that this would be a no-cost add-on Is that still the position, or has the company not landed on a position for that right now?
Well, if you have IP, that's still our position.
Okay.
And it's still our position, great question, to differentiate that. It's still to allow it to be there, but if you have CAMA, then if you want that to be integrated into your system, you'd have to go work that out with Entrado.
So, Wes, I have another ask, and that is for, as you guys are having these discussions internally, is to develop some sort of white paper that is very clear what the scope of this is. Now, we did an ask to you, and we, formulated that ask in a formal document, but just to make sure everybody is tracking together, because it can be kind of confusing that, the TCC would then connect into the ESInet and deliver text across the ESInet to the PSAP 911 authority's demarcation period, right? I mean, then it's up to the PSAP 911 authority to take that text into their CPE. So just identifying kind of the scope from your end of what that looks like and how you guys are going to respond to the ask, and then also what's included and what's not. So if a PSAP authority wants to take that text into their CAMA, so they have deployed an LNG and now they want to go ahead and have that integrated into their CPE, that there's that conversion fee that's going to be out of scope but can be negotiated.
Exactly. And that's entirely because, it's very location specific to the CPE and all the coordination that has to go on there. So it's really incumbent upon the PSAP with CAMA to, if they decide they want to do it, to drive that. And we'll outline it in the SAL, what that, all those parts have to, who's responsible for what.
That would be great. And I think at one point Entrado indicated that this would only be for MSRP.
Yes, that should be the case. Correct. And I'm working with, or a couple of us on this side are working with about 3 or 4 people on the Entrado side, not only on this, but of course ECATS as well.
Yeah, and I do have questions around that. But before we go to the ECATS update, does anybody have any questions for Wes on the text and the status of the text? Okay, so we'll transition to ECATS. Now, Wes, you got us all excited about ECATS, and we wanted to have it deployed yesterday. So do we have a time frame of when we're going to be able to make this transition happen?
So we wanted to do that also at the end of the year. We've got some engineering questions on that. Where do we want the RDDM to be connected to? And it looks like ECAT says it should be at all 95, 96, 98 locations instead of just 58 for getting the reports. So we were working that out. And ECATS thought that everything had to be tied up with a nice, pretty little bow by the end of August for that to be done by the end of the year. Well, that is not going to happen. We're still in the midst of working out the details of the ECATS. Now, I'm very confident it's going to happen. It's very cost effective, but there's ECATS engineers talking with our guys, and they're not done yet. So again, that's going to roll over to the first part of next year too. I hope it wouldn't go past the end of January in either one of those two things, both text and ECATS. But we're going to have to, maintain a pretty steady pace to get that done, say the next 30 to 45 days. And then, of course, Tim has to turn around and work with the attorneys and submit that to the PUC. On that side, I don't really know how long, once that the PUC, once they receive that language, how long will it take them to approve it? That's kind of the trigger as well.
Well, hopefully if there's no cost tied to that one either, then as it previously indicated by Lumen, then it would be a quicker process. But
you mean there is a cost to ECATS though? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, I thought that the core of the ECAT, switching that out with what we have today, wouldn't cost an additional amount to the tariff.
No,
Only
there is
okay.
There's 2 steps, Kimberly, to the ECATS. There's a base level, and then there's a second level that's just more expensive, and that doesn't really necessarily suit everybody by any stretch of imagination there. So at the base level, there is a cost, and that cost will be amortized out over just like the sessions counts were. I thought we probably discussed that. I guess maybe I missed something. In a call, we did discuss that there is a slight cost for that ECATS. And that would be dependent upon the PSAP size or the authority size. In the same way that we worked out with the session cost throughout the state, and averaging that cost, the ECATS would work the same way.
Okay, and I wasn't on the call last month, so perhaps that was covered then, but I'll review that because I believe I thought the base cost switched out was going to be zero cost to the PSAPs authorities, and then if we wanted to purchase that second level, that would be additional because it would do more reporting outside of what was just required in the tariff. But we can regroup.
Yeah, your description of the service is accurate, of course, but you know, we did discuss that with Daryl, and I apologize. I thought we had the ESInet exec group on that. Kimberly would be happy to bring that conversation up if you'd like, again, with you and Daryl and whomever else would like to join that.
Well, I think it would be great for us to just, again, have a white paper on what that looks like ahead of you filing for the tariff addendum, because a comment that you made, which was from Intrado, indicating that they would need to have equipment at all of the PSAPs instead of at all the authorities. If we have remotes, not physical equipment installed, for example, at some of our authorities, when we do that, there may not be a need for equipment. So we would definitely want to make sure we're scoping the project correctly.
And there is a scope out between Intrado, and we're matching that scope as well. And in fact,
Okay.
that's exactly what's going on between the two companies right now.
Okay, great. Does anybody have any questions for Wes on ECATS? Okay, fantastic. So that's all I have for old business. Before we move on to new business, do you have anything back from Cindy or an issue tracking spreadsheet that she sent over by chance?
Cindy is on the line. She just IM'd me.
Okay.
I think Cindy, you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Take it
I
away.
don't think we have any updates to the issues, Kimberly. So right now, we're installed at CSP Denver. That one's done. Pueblo needed to extend circuits, so that one's been pushed out a little bit.
I had that backwards. I'm sorry, folks. I thought Pueblo was done and Denver wasn't. So thank you, Cindy, for straightening that
I keep
out.
getting this mixed up too. Nancy has to keep me straight. Cheyenne Mountain and Shriver are moving forward with their site readiness issues, and we have the rack ordered for Cheyenne Mountain. We're just waiting for them to clear space. Buckley, we're still working with them on the KP48 issue. They asked if we could move forward without that resolved, but there's some major implications to call failures if we don't have KP48 working. So that's a concern to move forward with their implementation without that. And Adams County backup is installed, and we're scheduled to, the pad is installed at Weld County, and we were scheduled to test that this Friday.
Okay, so just to back up really quick for Shriver, you said you're waiting on site readiness.
Yeah.
What exactly do you need at that site? Because I believe we have somebody on the line today that could possibly assist.
I believe we needed power, and we needed access to complete the site survey. And Nancy was going to send the guy back out there this week, or try to get him access to get back out there this week.
Yeah, this is Kevin Brown from DIS again. So I'll send Nancy and I'll copy Wes just a note to follow up on those three sites, and then we can drill down specifically what she needs for site readiness or the right POC to help support that. So,
Okay.
yeah.
That'd be great. Can you send me
again,
your
I'm sorry,
contact information as well?
Sorry, we talked over each other. Who's speaking again?
This is Cindy Berry. Would you mind emailing me your contact information as well? I
Absolutely.
don't think I have.
I'll just copy on that outbound to Nancy and Wes.
Okay,
Thank you.
that'd be great. Thank you.
You bet.
Okay, great. Thank you. And then from the open issues, Cindy, for items that you're tracking for the migrated PSAPs.
I think we've closed out pretty much all of them except the ongoing ones. The Expo probe replacement project is on hold, pending the new Expo probes. They've been delayed with some chip shortages. So as soon as we get those, which I think will be in Q4 here, we'll reach out to everybody about the schedule to replace those Expos. Out-of-state transfers, West. I think you were working with that, but we were kind of waiting to get everybody on board.
Correct.
Before we, yeah.
Right.
The Vail and, Aspen and Vail did their CPE upgrade, but there's some patches. So they're still on LNGs. There was some patches Motorola was doing to be able to take the direct SIP, and I believe those are going in. So we've got a date from Motorola, or some dates where they think we'll be able to go back and test SIP at those sites, and then we're hoping that resolves some of the intermittent call issues they've been seeing with transfers.
Okay.
Although I haven't heard any reports from them in a while on the call transfer issues.
I haven't either, but I think we got a good response back from their CPE provider on that as related to the patches that were needed.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Anybody have an issue that you thought was being tracked that needs to be brought forward and discussed with Cindy now that she's on the call with us? Okay, and so Cindy, just Colorado is before California, so
Yes, it is.
we expect that priority and attention at all times. Great, thanks for
I'm
getting-
only a lowly assistant in California.
Great, well, thanks for jumping on. All right, so I guess I will take us to new business, and we have Vicki on the schedule. So Vicki, I don't know if you need to share your screen or if you had anything that you wanted Daryl to put up.
Vicki, I have that page open right now. If you'd like me to display that, and you can walk us through it.
Okay, that'll be good. In the meantime, as you bring that up, I'll just give some background as to how this came up. There was a large call volume and outage issue out of the Aspen Pitkin area. So Pitkin overflows to Aspen, who overflows to Vail, and all were busy. So the question was, where does it go after that? So I did reach out to Kim Haig at Intrado, and she might be on here, but we talked about PSAPs might want to set up alternate abandonment routes where we get them pre-built so that if there's an outage impacting multiple PSAPs around you, or that you normally would go to backup to, we can pre-build it so that when you call in to our 911 knock and say, I need to abandon, this would not be flipping your switch. You'd have to call in to activate an alternate abandonment route. But if it's pre-built, it happens a whole lot faster than having to do it on the fly. So I walked Daryl through going through the PSAP provisioning screen in what was Clearview, now Insights in Intrado, so that people could see what their current setup was if you didn't know for sure. So what Daryl is showing is, again, you log into Insights, you select PSAP provisioning, and then alternate routing is if your PSAP all lines are busy, you can look and see where your calls would go. And then abandonment routing is if you flip your switch, where do your calls go? And once you confirm that and talk through it, if you want to build extra abandonment routes, just send me the information and I'll get it over to our support people to get the paperwork over to Intrado so that we can get those services built.
And
So
Vicki, this is Daryl. So I've got Aspen picking up on the screen right now. So in their case, alternate routing, they've got all of their trunks listed first. So if one of their trunks is busy, we'll try a different one of their own trunks, right?
Correct.
And then if all of their trunks are busy, the next one after that is Vail.
Correct.
And there's nothing after that. So one of the things that Vicki and I talked about is that it's probably a really good idea for all of the PSAPs to go through here, maybe talk to their neighboring PSAPs to find out, are you comfortable with us having calls roll over to you, unless you already have a rollover arrangement with them, to make sure that they're good with that, but then to build this out so that it is at least 2 or 3 PSAPs deep in terms of alternate routes. Because if all of these lines are busy, including all of the ones at Vail, what happens with that, Vicki? Does that give a fast busy?
Fast busy, correct.
Yeah. So we want that to be an almost impossible situation. The call should go somewhere if it can.
Well, and Daryl, this is Brad Flanagan over at Aspen. One of the things that we realized is that we're sister centers with Vail, so we have the same phone system. So if our phones have a catastrophic failure and we go out, the odds that our sister center, who's getting all of our rollovers, goes out as well is actually pretty good. So we didn't even know that this was going to be a challenge until we asked that question. So this is kind of a big deal for us, and we're going to start working on that. And Vicki, you can expect to see something from me in the next few days.
Sounds good.
Thank you so much, guys.
And so, Vicki, to change these things, and to recap, alternate routing is automatic. Abandoned routing is what happens if you call CenturyLink and say, we have to leave our PSAP, and they're going to reroute your calls to another PSAP, right?
Correct. Either that, or it's what's built in to your switch, when you flip the switch, your pad device.
Right.
Yeah.
So in order to change either of these, they just need to let you know, Vicki?
Yes, it does require us internally at Lumen to do some paperwork that we send over to Intrado, and then they do the programming.
Okay. But I think it's really great that you can just go in here and click on PSAP provisioning and see what's currently built for your center and make sure it's correct. Another thing I wanted to point out, because I was just looking at Adams counties, because theirs is the first one to come up when you look at it alphabetically. And do we have anyone from Adams County on the line? Their next one is Broomfield, which I'm not sure makes perfect sense for them. Maybe Federal Heights, Thornton, and then Weld County. I swear when I was looking at it earlier, I was getting something different. Maybe that's because I had it up for the whole state. So just double check those, make sure they make sense for you. And if they don't, let Vicki know so that she can do the paperwork to get that changed.
I think Adams has a radio connection with Broomfield, or I think that's the reason they made that decision.
Yeah, it looks correct now. When I was looking at it earlier, the next one that came up was the Air Force Academy, and I think that's because I had this PSAP designation incorrect. And I'm assuming everybody on the line from a PSAP or one of the 911 authorities has access to Intrado Insights right now. But if you don't, I guess, Vicki, would you be the person to contact for that as well?
You could send me an email. I'm pretty sure it goes through Lisa Sheridan, who then requests it from Intrado, and they set you up with a fob and all of that to get into the system.
Gotcha.
Great. Well, thank you for that. That is absolutely critical from a contingency plan perspective to make sure that those 911 calls are being routed correctly and reaching a PSAP. So thanks for going over that. Anybody have any questions for Vicki? All right. Well, we are just breezing through the agenda today. So the next item will be open discussions. And so any questions or concerns from the PSAPs to Lumen that you want to bring forward and discuss? Okay, anybody from the Lumen team to the PSAPs and authorities on the call today? Do you have anything that needs our immediate attention?
This is Vicki again, just more of a reminder, FYI, there's going to be a test notification tomorrow morning at 9:30 Central Time. And I sent out an email, but just a reminder, you don't have to do it. It's going to look like a normal outage. You know, they're going to send it as a final when it's happened. You don't have to call in. There's no action on the PSAP's part, just to alert them. It's testing our equipment and what we get fed back through our network to make sure everything's working. So,
Great, thank you for that reminder.
you bet.
And Jeff has a hand raised. Jeff, go ahead.
Hey Wes, just a quick question for you.
Sure.
Anytime soon will we be able to see billing for the concurrent sessions through our enterprise account on Control Center, or is that off in the future somewhere?
Hey, good question. It wasn't set up that way because of a Chris account. Let me check on that again, Jeff. The first answer we got was that it was going to take something extra to make that happen. I'll ask.
Yeah, because if we could receive the bills electronically instead of through the mail, would be great. A, and B, be able to pay them by ACH. It'd be much more efficient.
Great. I will check on that and let you know. And otherwise, hopefully, we'll get an update for the whole group here of the need for that.
Great, thanks.
Perfect. Anybody have anything else? Okay. The last item will be for public comment. So any non-voting member, you are welcome to bring items forward to the ESInet user group or to Lumen.
This is Daryl. I just want to let people know I'm still working on scheduling a workshop for the NG911 strategic plan that we've talked about at previous meetings. I need to make sure that it's scheduled during a time that CenturyLink and CenturyLink's resources can participate, because there will definitely be technical questions that will come up during that discussion that we'll need someone from CenturyLink and/or Intrado to be able to answer those questions. But we're working on that, and I just want people to keep that on their mental radar that will be getting scheduled soon, and I hope as many people as possible can participate.
Great, thank you, Daryl. All right, anything else?
I don't have anything, Kimberly, to add. All
right, thanks, Wes. Okay, well then we are on to our next item, which is adjournment. So we will go ahead and adjourn the meeting at 10:35. Thank you everyone for getting on today and going through the status of the ESInet. Hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, Kimberly.
Thank you.